Everything was silent. So silent I felt like the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Olia. The time reached its limit, a one-way trip that ended at the forest's piney stockade. Sometimes silence was much scarier than any scream. Our parents would scream at each other while arguing, and both me and Olia turned to stone listening to them. But then always came the ringing silence. Our apartment became numb a couple days before we departed. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing, or spent time together. Almost like all of it was a previous life. When they kissed with Olia present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way. But one day it all changed. Something important had left our home, and something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if a fire broke up, and our parents were hurriedly packing their belongings, trying to save themselves and us. From who, though? From the people with dead, cold eyes who sometimes visited us in our previous home? The eyes that only saw balls of worms in the black ground and everything. And somewhere far away, a siren was going off, trying to warn us of the coming menace. I shuddered, chasing away my delusions, and looked around. There were only me, this white field, and wind that was whipping up icy dust and belts of powdered snow. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. It looked especially dark in contrast with the blinding whiteness. Knobby tree roots slithered under the snow like fat snakes. Rotten leaves and coniferous needles froze into ice. Dry, prickly branches intertwined, bringing up uncomfortable thoughts about fences. Were they protecting the forest, or were they keeping something from breaking out? Some object was hanging from one of the pointy branches. I tried to get closer, drowning in snow, and then almost got to the edge of the forest. I saw a knitted mitten. It looked like a wounded bird among the hungering semi-dark. Should I take it to the police? The senior officer looked gloomy, but he reminded me of Captain Casanova from my favorite TV show called The Streets of Broken Lights. He was also always anxious, and tried look with a tired look in his eyes, but still brave and strong. Will this mitten help them find the lost boy? Vova! I heard a distant shout, looked like it came from the river. Vova! As if the trees were calling out to someone. Vova! Resounded closer to me. Someone was standing there behind the trees, hiding. Vova! I knew someone was looking for the lost boy, but still, something was unsettling about that figure. Its stillness, how it was bent unnaturally toward the ground, its blackness. There's no one there, just branches and roots. It's all just my imagination. A nearby bird flapped its wing loudly. Oh boy. A shadow split from the tree and disappeared from my sight. I looked away for a moment, but when I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. So it was my imagination after all. Silence reigned for a painfully long time. Now I'm looking to see if something is there. Nope, I didn't see anything. My muscles were tightly sprung. My heart was beating somewhere in my throat. Any noise, any little movement, any small whisper from the thicket, and I'd sprint. But nothing of the sort happened. I looked at the mitten once more. I'd take the mitten. I decided to take the lonely mitten from the branch. Okay, never mind. Don't do it. Vova! A shout rumbled across the field and dissolved in the distance. No echo, no hope for a reply. I stepped towards the bristly trees and tried to claim my find. It didn't budge. I pulled harder and the branch cracked, the mitten tore off, landing in my hand with a squishy sound. All too heavy, wet. I squeezed without thinking and something dark spilled from it, forming a tiny string between the mitten and the snow. Steam rose from the snow pile. Should not have taken the mitten. Should not have taken the mitten. I froze in place, studying my palms in disgust. Red. The sound of crackling branches invaded the silence. I didn't have to think twice before running away. Someone was chasing me from the darkness, breaking pine branches, closing the distance with giant leaps. Snow was slowing me down. Crazy thoughts flew through my mind. I'll get caught. They'll get me. I'll get dragged into the thicket. I'll be gone forever. But there was one more vice, probably one of reason. It gave me strength, spurred me on. You can do it. Don't stop. I heard an animal roar behind me. It was so loud my ears went numb. I felt the sound had come from a pack of hungry beasts rather than a single one. Their nostrils sucked in freezing air. They sensed my fear. Two giant wings flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew over the clearing. A hoot, a wheeze. The roars were coming from all directions now. From the dried-up raspberry bush, from twisted pines, from under the windfall. Hurry, run, don't look back. It felt like I was inside a nightmare. The snowy clearing became vicious, like quicksand. Viscous, like quicksand. There we go. I was stuck in place. I pulled my legs from the mushy trap, just to be caught in a new one even deeper than before. I continued to drown, sinking deeper and deeper with every desperate push. Was snow ever this sticky? I screamed in horror after realizing this wasn't snow. Someone or something in the snow was clutching my pants. I gathered all my strength and rushed forward. The pressure on my leg was gone, my boots slipped out of the hole, and my soles were on a hard surface again. I reached a clear path with one jump and then ran to my house. Its gloomy facade didn't look threatening now. That house was divinely defense from the shadows that flapped their wings and the creatures that were hidden under the snow. I tripped over the doorstep and smashed into the door. With all my hurry, I still managed to notice the claw marks, as if a dog was striking the wood with its paws, demanding to be let in so it could escape the cold. I hadn't noticed those marks when I was leaving. The heartbeat in my ears was much louder than my surroundings. I couldn't hear whether someone was following me or not. What if they were already in our front yard and Mom had locked the door? Drowning in fear, I pulled the doorknob and it obediently gave way. Well, that was fun. I rolled into the hallway and shut the door behind me. The porch plants creaked with my pursuers ascended the stairs. My fingers slipped off the lock and I couldn't click it into place. I gritted my teeth and pulled hard on the iron knob, whipping it in between the boards. I stared blankly at the door. Someone was standing on the other side of the pitiful, flimsy barrier that was probably less useful than blankets. Wheezing breath reached into the house and crashed at me in waves. The smell of pine and sweat. Mom peeked into the kitchen and chastised me with the same frigid voice she always used when talking to Dad. What exactly didn't you understand when I told you to never slam the door? I didn't mean to. I snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone and the breath was too. If there was someone in the first place, of course. Here, mere 5 meters away from Mom, my fear was slowly weakening, melting like snow in spring, and with it, the last bit of strength I had left in my body, too. My legs gave way. I propped myself against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. Mom's expression changed immediately. The cold mask of strictness and detachment was gone. Mom looked the same as before all those quarrels. She finally saw my condition, my wet pants plastered with snow. Where have you been? What did I tell you, huh? I told you to stay home. Am I nothing to you? What? I'm sorry, what was that? I misread it. Am I nothing to you too? There we go. I got afraid she would cry. I reached out to her like when I was very little and wanted her to cuddle me. But Mom regained her composure fast and put on her usual face. Her eyes shined like steel. Her voice rang out. Your dad can't find his cigarettes. To be honest, did you snatch them? Were you smoking in secret? There was someone chasing me. I thought. I stuttered as soon as I started explaining myself. Tears welled up in my eyes. Mom leaned toward me and sniffed my clothes like a beast searching for a smell of tobacco. Then she squinted her eyes in suspicion and looked at the front yard. Her expression changed in an instant. She covered her mouth with her hand. Look, over there, at the fence. My heart started thumping as if I became prey once again, and my pursuers were following me in the field. I could swear that I've heard something scratching at the door, just like my nightmare. Mom beckoned me with her finger and I gathered all my remaining bravery to look into the kitchen window facing my fear. I could barely discern some hairy silhouettes swimming in the snow with icy winter patterns on the glass. Dogs. Just a small pack of strays with no name and owner, barely reminding of the hungry monsters that live at the edge of the forest. Oh boy, were you scared of them? I think they'd be scared of you, Anton. They were chasing me like a bunny. And what if they were rabid? The smile had slowly disappeared from Mom's face. Now she looked at the dogs as if it was her first time seeing them. What if they attack Olia? Mom? I wish your dad could just shoot them all. Mom, look, they're alive. Huh? What? Are they your friend or foe after all? Make up your mind. You're not a little kid anymore. Mom sighed in annoyance, and I felt so bitter that I bit my lower lip and fixed my gaze on the cobweb-ridden corner. Welp, some detective I am. In reality, I wasn't risking my life among monsters, but rather my pants among a pack of stupid strays. And what for? What use do I have for this? Mitten. Of course! A dark and sticky mitten that belonged to the lost boy made a squishy sound in my hand. Seems like I was clutching it this whole time. It's my trump card as a detective. I hurried to present my clue to Mom. Mom, look, this is Vova's mitten. That boy the police were asking about in the morning. It's drenched in blood. I found it hanging in a tree. I can show you where. Let's call the police right away, like the officer had told us to. Mom, look. Ew. A shadow of doubt slowly crept onto Mom's contorted face, as if she was trying to remember something distant, like someone tries to remember their dream, but the images slipped away. Stop it this moment. Olia will go insane if she hears you. She's already had trouble sleeping and whines all the time. And you joke around like this? At the moment I realized the mitten was actually wet from snow, and there was no blood whatsoever. I wanted to sink through the floor from embarrassment. Come here, my boy, who cried Wolf. Oh, don't just stand there. Come take your pills. A golden-colored pill reminiscent of deep wasp fell into my palm. I already took one during breakfast. Don't talk over me. I told you to stay home, and Dad would have given you a good whipping for that. Come on, take it or you won't be able to sleep at night, and you have school tomorrow. So, well, looks like I have to call it there. I'll continue it next time. please leave a like or subscribe. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye!